Thank you for joining us. Here we are, Sit Rep Critical. We're going to be doing another interview today on a spotlight on another veterans company that I've become very, very close to, and I respect a lot with the work that they do. Chelsea Newcomb from Freedom Labradors. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Us? You get another person with you?
I've got a
couple people with you?
I've got a mouse in my pocket.
Yeah. So, how did we meet?
We met through Biggie.
Tom.
Yep.
Yeah. Tom introduced us. Tom wanted me to come down and see what you guys are doing. He said, hey, you need to see what these people are doing with these service dogs, because I'm a service dog handler. I'm on my second service dog. Riley's right here taking a nap right in front of me. And at first I was like, okay, like I've heard this before. You know what I mean? I've gone through a couple dog companies in the state of Massachusetts, talked to them, had sit downs, come to find out that they're not actually service dogs. They're not task trained dogs. They're just puppies that people are giving out, that really don't help the veteran when they need a specific task. You know what I mean? So how did you get into training service dogs? And like, what was your first venture into saying, you know what, like this is a situation, this is something that I want to do. And what were you doing before you became a service dog trainer?
Well, I had horses growing up my whole life, dogs. So basically it's all the same with training.
Yeah.
And I just started doing horses, and the trainer that I had, my instructor for a long time, she actually was a dog handler, canine handler in the Army. So she
push that a little closer.
She taught me a lot of what I know with the dogs, but horses as well. And one day we saw her German Shepherd and how her obedience was super clean, and it was a protection dog. And I saw what she could do with it, and I was like, wow, teach me. I want to learn that.
Yeah.
So I just kind of started applying stuff to my own dogs.
Why is that? Like, because it's impressive when you see a dog that can be just, it's working.
Yeah, it's just you're using certain behaviors to imprint what you want from the animal, essentially.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was so cool. So I just started doing it with my own dogs, and my dogs were really well behaved. And having a farm, it's like, just dogs are everywhere all the time. So, you have people in and out, whatnot. So having a well-trained dog just chilling in the barn, people are impressed by that. Dog doesn't take off, doesn't, run away, chase things it's not supposed to. I would take my dogs on trail rides with me. They would stay right with me the whole trail ride. And again, people were like, wow, that's so cool. So basically how I got started was when I met my husband, and we were dating. He saw my dog. He thought it was pretty cool how well trained my dog was.
Yeah. And
then, he did his own training, like with hunting dogs when he was a kid. So he kind of knew how to do a lot of, hunting work and scent work and stuff like that. So the two of us together was a common interest. So we just, when we got our own dog, it was supposed to be my dog, but it ended up bonding with him.
Yeah.
And then she was just obsessed with him. And I would work with her. He would work with her. And she helped him with so much stuff. I mean, he was, dealing with 20-year combat veteran, 3 tours, disabled, PTSD. And he would take her everywhere. He hunted with her. He took her sometimes to drill when he had drill.
When he probably wasn't supposed to.
Yeah. But he did anyway. And, if it was cool enough out, like sometimes he'd leave her in the truck with the door open, because guess what? She would stay there. So at the motor pool, they'd, be doing what they're doing and should just be in his truck, door open, hanging out. But a lot of other guys from his unit were like, hey, where did you get this dog? I mean, she would pick things up for him and bring it back to him. He's got a bad back. He's got, feet issues and knee problems. So when she was going to get his boots and he was showing his buddies this, they were just like, hey, I could use something like that.
I want that. Yeah.
Right. So his buddy, Mike Damon, who you've met, his dog is a chocolate lab, Siska. And that's his current dog. But he had a dog named, I think it was Rolo, from another organization. And
I think I met that dog years ago.
It's a little touch and go with other organizations. Everybody's got their own contracts that have different things in them, but usually a service dog organization has a contract. If you breach that contract in any way, they can pull that dog from, your wherever you are, from you, or and they can use that dog for another veteran that's gonna, put forth the effort or whatever, the issue may be. But that ended up happening. I guess the first 365 days, that dog isn't officially yours. So there's stipulation, like, are you putting forth the effort? Are you making sure that the dog's vaccinated and this and that? So
I had the same issue with Riley's company with Rebuilding Warriors. Like I had to sign multiple contracts. Actually, I had to sign like a death certificate too. Like if I die, what happens to the dog?
Yep.
And I actually have had to call them back and change it while I'm still alive, because I actually at the time respected so much what the last service dog company I did, which was completely different from them. And I said, I don't think that my family would be trained enough to deal with the heartbreak of me being gone. So I would give the dog back so that they could try to work with another veteran.
Yeah.
And they were like, thank you. But I had to do 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. I got Riley when he was like 15 months old, 16 months old. So 3 months of having him, I had to do a video, record it because they're out of state.
Right.
And perform all the tasks. They gave me a list. Boom, 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 boom. Video it, send it to them. Okay, cool. 6 months, same thing. They were in the area at 9 months. Came and did it in person. 12 months. Then they invite you down at the 12-month period. It was right around the time when they do their annual, big event. And then you do it again. And then the dog's yours. But yeah, I have the dog for the whole year, but I got to make sure that dog is doing everything. You know what I mean? And like, is he a little bit lax on some things now? Yeah, but that's not him. That's me, right? Like, I don't make him sit down on the concrete before he gets up in my truck. He knows where he's going in the door. I just open the door and he gets in. You know what I mean? Like, those little things. But as you can clearly see, you've been around him. Like, I don't think, like, I've ever seen my dog bark in public. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a perfect service dog. But, all right, so you got into that with then people started asking you, like, did you train yourself a little bit, or did you reach out to like some people that were already in the field to learn some things? Because I know you were also a vet tech, which is huge with what you guys do with your program. I want to get into that, but did you reach out to anybody like specialists that taught you stuff, or you just start learning on your own?
I'm mostly self-taught, other than what I learned from my instructor.
Yeah.
Who obviously did dogs, but also the horses. So that's kind of where I started. But since then, it's kind of just trial and error. So it's learning as you go, I guess, really.
Yeah. OJT.
Yeah. So you just kind of see, and every dog's different. So it's definitely interesting because you can change up your methods a little bit for every dog that you do. One size doesn't fit all. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we started.
What are some of the Like, how did you get into learning some of the tasks? Like when people have come to you and they're like, this is what I need out of this service dog. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I have a service dog for PTSD or whatever, but I need it to let me know when I'm about to have a seizure. I need to let me know when, you know, it needs to go to the fridge and grab my meds or open the door. Like, just that stuff amazes me because I've seen some of your videos like in outside in stores and you're playing with the toys back and forth. Like, just how do you get them to go from like thinking it's a game to then like the specific tasks of like deep pressure therapy or grabbing meds or stuff like that?
It's honestly my favorite part.
Yeah.
I love watching a dog work. So using their nose, because it's the strongest asset that they really have. Besides obviously like, you know, food motivation, especially with a Labrador.
Yeah.
But basically what I do, depending on the person with the disability. So our dogs are tailored to each individual and their needs. So we don't just train all the dogs the same way, same tasks. There's a lot of other organizations out there that basically have dogs coming out on conveyor belts that all have the same tasks. And then once they're paired with a handler, then they kind of specialize in the actual task that they need. So what we do is, you know, we have a handler already, and when we're picking their dog for them, we're tailoring just the tasks that they need. Because why spend extra time on other stuff that the dog's not going to need to know?
Yeah.
So you start it as a game when they're little. So a lot of it is, you know, to me, genetics. 90% genetics, 10% imprinting and training. So the workability has to be there in the dog. You can't just go pick up a dog or a puppy, you know, say like a 10-week-old shepherd mix from a shelter and be like, this is going to be my service dog.
Yeah.
Because you could take that dog home and that dog has zero motivation to retrieve.
Right.
It may be food motivated, but having to force retrieve and teach a dog these things when you can just have that genetically and manipulate that and use it.
So do you find that labs, because you do police dogs as well, you do Dutch Shepherds, you do Malinois, you do German Shepherds, I think you might have one.
No, we don't have any German Shepherds, just Dutchies and Mouse.
Okay. So between those two dogs and the labs is like, obviously like you've probably found out like those are the best types of dogs. Like what makes those the best types of dogs, especially the labs for service dogs? You know what I mean? Because the labs just seem like they can be service dogs or they can be working dogs. You know what I mean? They're very, like what makes that dog, that breed of dog, the best kind of dog for a service dog, do you think?
Labs particular for service work because they're so versatile. So you can have them chilling here while you're, you know, just hanging out on a rainy day. But if they're obviously proper genetics, they can work as well. So there's an on and off switch. A lot of that is conditioning, but a lot of it's also temperament, which comes from genetics.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we're picking a dog for service work, I look for the one that has the best nerve. So the one that's off by itself, over there investigating something new and different, and not huddling with the litter mates.
Oh, really?
You know, kind of, yeah, I'm giving away all my secrets. You just want bold. You want not nervous, very independent. And then I'll kind of like drop things, see how they react. So we look for recovery time. Not saying that a puppy can't be afraid of a loud noise, but we wait and see how long it takes them to recover from that.
Okay.
So like if I were to drop like a metal dog bowl, I would want that puppy to, you know, oh, whoa, what was that? But then instantly go over and investigate it.
Okay.
And we wait for how long it takes the puppy to do that, if they do it at all. Some will go run and hide behind something. And I'm like, yep, nope.
So you'll watch the litter when you start to do that, and
Yes.
okay.
Right at about 4-ish weeks, I start doing certain testings like that. And ever since I started my own breeding program with pairing traits that I want, I'm getting like a 90% success rate.
Wow.
So usually a litter of 9. The last few litters, I would say all but maybe 1 would pass that. Obviously, some kind of mature a little bit differently. So by the time, 2 more weeks go by, they could be way more confident than they were 2 weeks prior to that.
Yeah.
It's also monkey see, monkey do. So when I keep back a puppy, they're constantly surrounded by my older dogs, my trained dogs who don't react to loud noises. They're confident. They'll go over and investigate new surfaces. That's another thing that puppies struggle with.
Both of my service dogs have him, not as much, but like my last service dog, Oreo, had a huge issue with surfaces, where he would, like, if we were walking down the street and you get to a stop walk and the curb kind of goes down and they got that yellow strip with bumps and stuff, he would stop, walk around. If you had changes in colors of the sidewalk, he was weird about it. I was like, what the hell are you doing? He doesn't do that much. Like if it's like a open hubcap in the street, you know what I mean? He'll be like, well, I'm not going near that. You know what I mean?
And a lot of that too is vision.
Yeah.
So it's like dogs have a different depth perception than humans do. So seeing that yellow strip, he may not have understood what that is. But again, genetics. See, he was too much in his head. He was thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
I like dogs that are confident and have lower self-preservation, because a dog that has lower self-preservation and a higher drive, they're going to work through anything, especially, like personal protection, police canines, because you want a dog that is going to blow through that wall to get the perp. I mean, and that's genetics.
Yeah. What is imprinting? Explain imprinting.
Imprinting is basically just, how do I put it? Creating a behavior with a reward system. So if you have a high value reward system for your dog, and you want to imprint a behavior, whatever behavior you want and they're doing, you reward it every time.
Okay.
So then you've just imprinted that behavior. So whether you do verbal commands or noises or, whatever you do, because I do Swedish commands with my dogs. And a lot of people will say, oh, your dogs are so smart. Like they know Swedish. And I'm like, no, actually, they're not very smart. It's pairing a verbal, whether it's a word or a noise, with a physical action, and then having a reward for the wanted behavior that the dog exhibited that you asked for. And then having a consequence for a behavior that's unwanted. So we call that balanced training. So positive only training is, basically ignoring unwanted behaviors. So if a dog's jumping up on you, you kind of just turn away. And then once the dog sits, you reward. So my personal experience and all the years I've been doing this, over a decade, it's not positive only, is not realistic, because it's not clear communication to the dog. So the dog's just going, oh, I jump up. And then finally when I sit, I get a treat.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, I jump up. Ow. Ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Then I sit down and get a treat. Then the dog's going to come over and approach you and look at you and sit down next time instead of jumping up first. Because they remember, because it was imprinted, The last time I put my feet on that person's chest or stomach, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's how other dogs communicate with each other. You know, you have a mom dog and the puppies are biting her ears, and, you know, she eventually is going to turn around. She's going to growl, snarl, and nip at them. And they're going to yelp, and they're going to go, whoa, I didn't like that.
Penny does that. I have the two other female dogs at home, the Dutchie and the English Lab. And the English Lab was probably 15 months old when I got Mary, when she was 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And still to this day, like, Penny, she kind of runs our house. She's just the calmest, smartest dog. She can be a wicked pain in the ass if she wants to be when she's trying to talk to you.
Yep.
And you're not listening. But she'll sit there on the deck and watch Mary kind of picking on Riley a little bit because she's faster now. She can get the BALL now.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll just dart off the deck and start going after her, and she can palm her right on the ground. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mary will start nipping at her and stuff, but then later on you'll see Mary kind of like licking Penny when she's lying down, like, okay, mom, like, I got it.
It's
like
a submissive thing.
Yeah, she's stronger. She probably could take my English Shepherd, obviously, but she doesn't. She's like, oh, okay, because she remembers.
It's respect.
Boom, like she used to just slam her on the ground. So I haven't seen that.
She was imprinted since she was a puppy.
Yeah, and the dog did it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how'd you get into, you have like a specific color of, I mean, beautiful labs, really. Like, you get the red ones, then you get, I've seen some of the black ones. I don't know if you've had any white, but that was probably a genetic pick, right? Like, did you find a certain type of dog, or did you, because I know you got Rumo and you have like one dog, he's off leash, he's perfect. You know what I mean?
Well, I got my first red lab from a breeder in Ohio, and she kind of started my breeding program, especially the Fox Reds. But they're super popular.
People like the color.
Yeah, they do. And they don't realize that Fox Red is it's a yellow Labrador. It's just a darker shade. So yellows range from white to the really Irish setter dark Fox Red. And I only breed black and yellow, but my yellows range from white to Fox Red. So it's just been my most popular, probably because I didn't really have any blacks up until maybe about a year or so ago. But the blacks are starting to become definitely popular too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the dark red, like Rumo, I get calls, messages. I want a Rumo. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But it's
I want a
usually
perfect red dog.
Yeah, we want a dark red, and we want it blocky, and we want it to look just like him. So, that's one of our biggest requests. That's what made us go international. So we have dogs all over the country, whether it's service work or pets.
That's gonna be my next question. Like, what are some of the conditions that people have that you've done dogs for across the country? Because I know you have dogs across the country because people have come in from across the country. You know,
conditions as far as what are their
physical,
jobs?
mental. Yeah, what are their jobs?
Like the people or the dogs?
The dogs.
All sorts. I mean, some of them.
So like the girl that we spoke to the other day. I'm not gonna mention her name. You know what I mean? That I love. She's part of your program.
Oh yeah. She's awesome. So. Yeah, she's been a client of mine for...
Like, what are her conditions and what I see what the dog does?
Yeah. So she has high-functioning autism. She was part of an adult program who basically kind of... they have, like, a campus and stuff. So she lives, like, behind the campus. And they basically just, help them maneuver how to be, like an adult, like learn how to cook for themselves and, things like that. And she had a pet dog, and she contacted me for training because he was a little reactive. He's a black lab. She got him off of some website. like a year prior to that, and just a lot of reactivity and issues. So she contacted me because I do regular pet training too for people. But I met her and we started, working together, and she saw my puppies and heard of the service dogs that I do. So, we spoke to her dad about it, and he's like, I think maybe we should do something like that for Emily. And I just went from there. I mean, there's certain things that she needs, like med reminders and med retrievals, opens doors, brings things over to her because she does have some mobility issues as well.
Yep. She still handles that dog though.
She does. And you know what? She loved her dog so much from me that a year and a half later, she got another one, just a pet. So now she's 3 dogs.
Just 3 dogs for you.
Well, she's got 2 from me.
2 from you.
But we worked with her other one that she already had, and he got a lot better. And honestly, I think having the other 2 dogs, because dogs are pack animals, they need other dogs. Like horses are herd animals. So, having other dogs around them, it just benefits them having that pack mentality. So she's living the dream of 3 dogs all the time. And, she has her routine. She feeds them, and we work them individually, and she does awesome.
I was shocked, because you took all, what's another thing that's cool is his program does it too, is whenever you get a chance, you'll get some of us together. Like we went to the Cape that day, and I couldn't stop laughing because we're all sitting there sweating and we all want to eat and this, that, and the other. And she just kept going. She's like, I just want an ice cream. I just want an ice cream, and watching her handle that dog, you know what I mean? Like, I got PTSD, I got physical issues, you know what I mean? But like, to be able to see someone autistic with, mobility issues, like walking issues and stuff like that, and she didn't miss a beat. You know what I mean? She kept up with us the whole time, and I just watching that dog, and the dog just does its thing, doesn't leave her side, pays attention the whole time, watching her, you know what I mean? And I get people kind of come up to me sometimes when they'll see me doing things when I'm not paying attention, because I usually just tune everybody out anyway, regardless of where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I noticed the dog did this and did that. I'm like, yeah, we're talking the whole time. He's talking to me with his nose and his boops and his this and his that. And, even when he farts and tries to pass it off on me and looks back, I'm like, no, bro, that was you. Because when you're with a dog all day long, like a real service dog, it's so hard to explain this to people. You know what I mean? Like when they come up and they do the, oh, can I pet your dog? And can I this? And I can I that? Like, and at first when you get the dog, like, you're like, oh, okay. Like, I don't want to be rude. Now, like, I don't consider myself being rude. I'm very selfish with, no, I'm busy. Because you will distract him because he is friendly. Because, he'll smell everybody. Another thing that drives me nuts is everyone goes, oh, you smell my dog. I'm like, no, he's smelling your crotch. He's smelling your aspine gland. Like, he's trying to see that's how dogs say he's saying hello. I just got very selfish with, no, let him continue to do what he's doing. You know what I mean? And I kind of equate it to like going up and asking a parent when I'm walking their kids in the park, hey, oh my God, your daughter is so cute. Can I pet her? No. You know what I mean? Like, this is my child. He's doing a task. When I take that vest off, yeah, he's a butthole. Like, he wants to play BALL, and that's his drive. His eyes turn into just demons, and then I'm outside for 2 hours because you got to play him.
Like a crack fiend.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But to watch that dog with Emily, just that day, I was like, man, so like you have dogs across the country you've done for mobility issues, for mental issues, for a litany of things. And then you also get into the training, like police dogs. How'd you get into that? How'd you go from service dogs to police dogs? Because then you're kind of tapping on 2 realms where it's like you can train any dog. You know what I mean? Not that you would, because like you said, it is about genetics. Like, you're not going to take a pointer that's like a hunting dog and try to get it to do like calm shit. You know what I mean? Like when it's it's go, go, go. So
Yeah.
how'd you get into the police dogs as well?
When we got our our Dutchie, I got a Malinois from somebody that was like a local trainer. We were friends, and I decided I want to, I've heard nothing but crazy things with these dogs. Like they're just super high drive and intense. So I was like, you know what? I want to do this to challenge myself.
I'm going to go teach Malinois out of the blue.
Yeah. So I knew his dog, which is the father of my dog. And he was awesome. Super stable, balanced, but would mess people up if asked to. And that's ultimately the goal. So knowing his dog, and then when he had a litter, I was like,
give me one.
I think I need to do this. So I ended up getting Larry. He was my first Malinois, and he's going to be 8 in September.
Yeah, he's the big one, the older one.
Yeah. He really broke me into the trainer that I am now. You have, as a trainer, and any trainer can tell you, there's always one dog that pushes you and makes you better. And that was this dog for me.
His trainer, Athena, has told me that quite a few times. Yeah.
You'll always have one.
Is that why you still have him? Because he's your dog? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's almost like your reference.
He will literally die with me. Like, he's not going anywhere. Because some of the dogs that I keep back, whether it's a stud dog or breeding females, I keep them back and I use them and then I retire them. So they don't stay with me. And I get the question all the time, how do you do that? You don't get attached? I'm like, it's business. And you have to keep it that way. Yes, every once in a while I get attached to a dog, but then I keep it. And it's my dog. And I use it for working, and I use it as like a demo dog or whatever for my program. But the other dogs, you can't keep them all. You just keep keeping back dogs to replace those for breeding, and I would run out of room. I'd have no... And that's selfish. Why not let them go retire in a place where they're going to be spoiled rotten?
Yeah.
So
what's the age that you would consider, like, what do you think is a good age to retire the dog for someone that has a service dog, and then you get another service dog, right? But like, then that's just a home dog.
I would always start a new service dog about a year or two before you plan on retiring your current service dog.
Yeah.
Because it's a process. To fully train a service dog could take 18, 24 months.
Yeah.
But again, that depends on the tasks that you need from the dog. Like a lot of, seizure alert, diabetic alert, those types of things. Usually, physical tasks, we can start when they're puppies, but then you have to pair the scent that they're smelling from you about to have a seizure to the physical task that you want them to do. And that happens when you start working with the dog and the handler. So I keep back my puppies that I pick for them, and I always pair. I don't let them pick.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing this long enough to know.
I didn't get to pick him.
Yeah.
I didn't get to pick my last dog. Last dog actually picked me. So I had to go up to the farm, and there was a bunch of dogs, and Oreo's right there. It's my Great Dane. I love him. I miss him. Yeah. Guy saved my life.
So cute.
He was the sweetest dog on earth. And he had like 5 brothers and sisters, and I'm there with the trainer, and she calls all the dogs down, and they just come running. I'm like, geez, I see like 5 Great Danes running at me, because I had
That's intense.
Yeah, I had mobility issues. I was temporarily paralyzed. Like, I got spine issues and live in the hospital life. I can't feel like my arms, sometimes my legs. And they just came down. Like, you could tell, like, out of the 5 dogs, one just shot off on its own, didn't give a shit about the other 4. The other 3 were just playing in a pack. And Oreo kind of was too, but he would come over and give me a sniff. Like investigate, and then he'd go off for a minute, and she'd let them play and throw throw the BALLL, and same thing. 3 would be messing around. The one was just like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? There was one that was just like off, and then he just kept coming over, and he sat down in front of me, and then that's when she was like, "That's your dog, right?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "He just chose you." I was like, I had no clue like how that worked, but it was pretty. It was kind of like a wicked cool feeling. After I left there that day, because then I had to schedule going to stay there for a week. I had to stay in their house on property. I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was like the first time I had ever encountered a dog that I just was like, I went home and I was telling my wife and I was telling my dad and I was telling, they're like, what's the deal with this dog? I go, I don't know. There was just like a
Your soulmate.
Yeah, there was just this connection, and I was like, and then I got the dog, and I don't know how I made it work. I mean, I flew with him on a plane. Great Dane. He was 180 pounds. Yeah, it was intense, but it was probably one of the coolest experiences I think, you know what I mean, I ever had. Like, so I'm sure you have people that come to you and like, oh, I want this kind of dog. It's like, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? Do you have to turn people away when they do that?
For service work, they know up front that I pick.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's just makes the success rate even higher.
Yeah.
Because I know what I'm looking for. And usually I always pair the opposite sex too. 9 times out of 10, the bond's just better.
Yeah.
Not saying that you can't have, a male handler with a male dog. I just, over the years of doing it, have just found that it's just, the bond is different. It's hard to explain. But our Dutch Shepherd is my husband's dog. So he's the one who really does a lot of like the protection training and all the detection stuff that we do. So like he has an EDD dog in training, his
What's
Malinois explosive detection dog. And then his Dutchie, he did firearms. So, and he's a crane operator in Boston. And like I told you, the only experience he has with scent work was his hunting dogs, his beagles, when he was a kid.
Yeah.
So he is also self-taught, like watching YouTube videos and putting his own spin on things and applying it to these dogs. And he's like, I want to learn how to do that. And when he puts his mind to something, forget it. If someone looks at him and says, I don't think you could do that,
he's going to do it.
And he's going to do it 10 times better than the person who said he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
To the point where who we got our Dutch Shepherd and his Malinois from.
You went overseas, didn't you?
No. So
I know you have.
So where he got his dogs from, he's down in Texas, but he had a place in Holland. So he brought these lines over from Holland. We met him after the fact, but he said, I want to get my own dog. Like, you have Larry, I want to get my own. And I want to start applying the stuff that I want to do because I think this is really cool. So he did firearms with Lex, his Dutch Shepherd. And I think 2 years ago, it got to the point where I saw how good they were. And the breeder and trainer and decoy down in Texas, where he got the dogs from, was like, dude, how are you this good? You're not a dog trainer.
Yeah.
How did you get this good at this? And to the point where he was doing TikToks, got 80,000 followers from just doing his videos of his dog scent work and bite work. And this guy down in Texas sees all of this and he's sharing it with like other people who have his offspring, whether it's siblings, cousins, whatever, from our dogs. And they're like world-renowned decoys and trainers that just do this, like police canines specifically, border patrol, detection stuff, like you name it. he's sending the videos and he's getting feedback. How much for that dog?
30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand.
Even more.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's like, no, like she's mine. I did all this work. I'm not done yet. So 2 years ago, another friend of mine who does working dogs. So he's in Maryland, but he does a lot of the stadium stuff in Philadelphia.
Yep.
So he's got an explosive detection dog, and it's his Mal. And he joined an organization, American Working Dog, doing scent work. So he actually cut the last year, I think he became certified to certify other people, like other teams for detection work, whether it's narcotics or, whatever. So I heard about it and I was like, Jay could pass that. Like him and Lex could do that. And I bet you they would pass and get their national cert. So I talked to him about it and I was like, text Jay and see if he'll, come to I think it was Virginia, to actually do the test. And he went. He did not want to go.
Of course.
I pushed him. I'm like, you got to do this. And
of course he didn't want
he even got mad at me at one point because he went with Damon. Damon's like, I'll go with you. So they drove down there together, and Damon's texting me because Jay won't even talk to me because he's so mad that I made him do it. And next thing I know, I get a picture of the certification for handler and dog for National Firearms Certificate through American Working Dog. Jay's holding it, and it's a picture of him and his dog. And I'm like, dude, I knew you could do it.
Yeah.
You just needed that little bit of a push. To show that, you can do it. So the dog became even more valuable after that because she's nationally certified for firearms detection. And that's why he's now working on explosive detection with his Malinois. So when we produce these dogs, the genetics is already there, which I was actually just the other day talking to one of the officers that I work with at a department who has one of my comfort dogs. And we were talking about how their canine comes in and the slippery floor, the dog just looks like, those cartoons?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the dog freaking out. And this is a dog, it's a patrol dog. Dogs that are being sent after, criminals.
Yeah.
To go detain them until an officer can come and do what they need to do.
And it's all over the place.
And the thing is just a bag of nerves. And, it's super common that, they're making these square pegs trying to fit into a round hole. Mm-hmm. It's super common because, they put so much time and money into these green dogs for TSA, Border Patrol, police departments, like you name it. And then the dog fails and they have to start over and spend more money. So what do they try to do? They try to make it work instead of getting dogs that are just genetically built with solid nerve, low self-preservation, high prey drive, and using that for working.
Yeah.
And imprinting whatever you want, whether if it's a dual purpose dog for, narcotics and patrol or, just a single purpose. But it's crazy how many of these breeders that these police departments are getting these dogs from and thinking that they're great because they came from overseas.
The dog, one of my friends who's a VA police officer, is a VA detective or captain or something. He's high up. The dog at the Brockton VA here in Massachusetts, the dog bit like 3 people.
Really?
Oh, it's not.
Jeez.
Yeah. So like you made a very good point one time we were talking and you were I'm about to lead into that. And it's like, yeah, these police departments, they have these trained dogs, right, when they're given to them, but just because you're the handler doesn't mean you're the trainer, right? So like, how often are these police stations actually revisiting training?
Yes.
Are they revisiting it like every 6 months or every 3 months? Because they need to, because I know that's a discussion we had, is like sometimes like a dog will kind of tail off, and it's not the dog, it's the handler, right? So like, and that's why I had to make sure I'm doing what I'm doing, because if I wasn't, they'd correct me and be like, you need to stop doing this. So like, how much do you run into that?
A lot.
Really? That's just sad.
A lot of it is not only departments, but service dog organizations too. I mean, they'll train these dogs, and then the handlers will come fly out, kind of like what you did for, however long, usually 2 or 3 weeks, and they'll stay there and they'll kind of, go over whatever they've done. But then it kind of like fizzles out a little bit. At least in a lot of the organizations that I've, seen, because I get a lot of people who have other organization trained dogs,
and you have to retread them,
that want me to fix them or retrain them or work with them. And if the genetics isn't there, because again, they tried to fit a round peg in a square hole, or a square peg in a round hole. And it's just, they did it for the money, and it's not, you can see if something's going to work or if it's not.
I think that's one of the worst things to do too, is we've run into it. I had a conversation this weekend with one of my friends. Someone's trying to give him a dog, and he's got really bad anxiety. He came over, gave me a hug. He's all moving around. I'm like, just go, relax. You know what I mean? And we're talking about it. And he's like, how do you get a dog like that? I'm like, well, he didn't come off the shelf, dude. He has a process every morning. He has the same time that he eats. It literally is Pavlov's dog, because when that alarm clock goes off at 6, he's in my face. Then he needs to go to the bathroom. Then he plays for 20 minutes. Then he comes in and drinks water. And then I could be laying in bed, and he'll come back up after like 30 minutes. Because I'll play with him, then I'll be like, all right, drink your water, do whatever. And then within like 40 minutes, he's back on my face like, I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? And it's a process. And I think one of the worst things you can do is give a veteran or someone in need that has disabilities a service dog, right? A service dog. And then that service dog isn't providing the services because it's not really properly trained. And then now that person has that much more stress, because now they have a dog running around their house, biting corners in the house. They have the dog biting sneakers in their house. He's never bitten anything. He has not had... He had a UTI one time and peed in the floor, like after I had him for 9 months. I was like, whoa. And I called his trainer, because I have that support lifeline just like you provide. I have lifetime contact with his trainer, the company, get along with them amazingly. I love these people. They are just dedicated to the cause. She's traveling around the country 180 days a year.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah. She works for FEMA. She teaches SWAT, this, that, the other. She teaches at the Center for Forensic Training and Education in Ohio, teaching people how to find dead bodies and bomb detection dogs. And it's just been her life. Sometimes it's just inappropriate memes so we can have a laugh because she needs it, because she's on the road, or I do, you know what I mean? But I think that's just like a really bad practice to just hand a dog out to somebody, and then that dog is causing more stress because they're not trained.
Absolutely. And that happens quite frequently.
It happens, from what I've seen, way more than actually real service dogs getting passed out. You know what I mean? Which is kind of how we linked up. Because I had already met with a bunch of companies in the state of Massachusetts where it was just, that's not a service dog. That's not a service dog. Well, how can you tell? Because I've had 2 of them. I can look at a dog. I am so much more in tune with dogs now than I ever was. I remember when one time I flicked Oreo in the butt because he was just being a pain in the ass, and he was like jamming me into a corner. I was like, knock it off. And he jumped like I shot him out of a cannon, like, I remember asking his trainer, I'm like, what was that? She goes, oh, you flicked him? She goes, they don't know what anger is. They were raised with just complete love and compassion. Love, patience, training. Love, patience, training. I was like, oh. So it really made me think about situations that people put dogs into. You know what I mean? Like, i.e. passing it, a comfort dog and passing it off as a service dog, which is, I mean, I can argue with people about that all day long, but I mean, that's my take on it, because I've had 2 service dogs, and I have people come up to me in the veterans community too, like, dude, where'd you get that dog? I'm like, I got lucky, because real service dog companies like yourself are so few and far between. You know what I mean? So,
and I feel like vetting the vets also is super important.
Yeah.
Because if they're not ready to receive a dog, so many people think that a service dog is an end-all fix-all. Like, oh, it's just going to miraculously fix my PTSD and I don't have to go to therapy and I don't have to work at anything. So making sure that a veteran that wants or needs a dog is ready to receive a dog. They're doing the work. They're getting the help that they need. And it's recommended by whoever they're seeing to get the dog.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this person's ready for a dog. They're gonna do the work, and that's kind of what we use you for, because
that's how we hooked up.
Right.
I even pretty much lost a friend. You know what I mean? I know I could probably still see him. I mean, my buddy Bobby, who got a dog through you guys, and that's what I do, is the vetting, because I've gone to school in Washington, Bethesda, Maryland, you know, national service officer, you know, the whole code of federal regulations, represent veterans, advise veterans on stuff like that. I'm assist certified, which not a lot of people have. That's what social workers have in the state of Massachusetts, to recognize like issues in the house and suicide. I've gone to Plymouth County Suicide Coalition and gotten trained on, you know, critical incident management with stress and suicide and this and that. And like with my friend, you know what I mean, that has gotten a dog through you, who's successful now, right? It was, that was one of his issues, where he was always doing the same thing that I've made this mistake too, but I've just been doing it longer, and he was just dancing back and forth. And this was another issue. I remember I got up his ass, because for 2 reasons. 1, I knew he needed it. 3 reasons. 2, I knew it would help. And 3, because I really wanted it to work, because I knew that you guys, I had met with so many other companies. I knew you guys were the real deal, because I'd come down and see your training. We had conversations at your house. I saw your dogs. I saw your kennels. I was like, holy shit. And I had to make that decision one day. I remember yelling at him. I was like, you're not going to fuck this up. Like, you need to cut the shit and fucking do this. I told you when this happened, you can't bail. Avoidance is the bus driver for PTSD. You keep doing it, like, fuck him. And I blocked him on social media, because I was like, I don't even want to talk to you right now. I was so pissed. And it worked. You know what I mean? And we haven't talked. We haven't talked since. But you know what? I backed up. I took a back seat, and I remember we had talked, and I said, just let him show up and do his thing. And I kept asking, I'm like, how's he doing? Is he doing good? Is he fun? And you were like, that changed everything. You know what I mean? And I wish I could give him a hug and a kiss, because I miss him. He's one of my best friends.
And they're doing great.
Yeah.
I mean, she just got spayed, so she's out of commish right now. Yeah. But I mean, he maintains everything. If he has a question, he asks me.
And his other dog ended up passing away in the process.
I know.
So it was like, and I didn't expect that, because I think Khaleesi was only like 5 years old or something like that. So I don't know how that would have left him. He would have just been alone in that house. You know what I mean? And he named it just an awesome name. Yeah. You know, Alice, for Alice Pack. You know what I mean? He has the whole acronym and stuff like that.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. So like, you do need to have people that are vetting, you know, because like, I'll sit with the veteran and see if they're ready. Are they, like you said, are they going to therapy? Where's their claim in the process? How are their finances? Do they have their health care? Is it set up? Okay, yeah, cool. All right, well, show me.
Right.
Show me on My Healthy Vet. Show me open it up. So I make sure I open up everybody's case and go, do. Because if they're lying to me, I go, nope. Like, I'll start the process before they get to you. You know what I mean? So we're working on that dog for Brux the Pucks.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've been having conversations going back and forth. they had one person they thought, and I was like, no. And then he was like, yeah, no. And the cool thing about Rucks the Pucks is that the person that runs that, Brendan Gaby, like I told you, he was a canine handler in the Marine Corps. That was his sole job, doing WMDs, just training them. Yeah.
It's intense.
So he actually takes them when they wash them out of the program. I think he has 2 more right now. Rumo, his dog that he worked with, he had to get through a company. I forget the name of the company. It took 2 years, and they ended up flying the dog up to him. Yeah.
Jeez.
He was like, I'll take that dog. So he'll take some of those retired dogs, and he doesn't even need like a vest on them. They're just around him. And now he's got 2 more, but he knows what kind of dogs you have, and he also knows my dog. And he also has seen some other dogs. And he was like, like I know what I'm doing. I'm dealing with them. He wants to deal with you guys. And the one person that we had looked at was like, no. And then now we've kind of settled on someone else who really needs a dog, like and qualifies and has been looking and applied and told there was a 2-year wait and all this shit. So like and here we are. That's not going to be, that dog probably won't even get presented to them until October. But he's already on it. Cause like you said, it takes a while to like look at the person, look at the situation, look at the dog. You got to look at their home. You got to see if they have a backyard. There has to be some things, like you can't just give a dog to a homeless veteran because you're just absolutely just destroying the dog and putting it in an unhealthy situation. Like that's not okay. It's not going to pull that veteran out of that hole. You know what I mean? So there has to be a lot of things like as far as teamwork to make it work. And I just think that we make a good team, you know what I mean? Because I think you guys do, both of you, Jay with the police dogs, but you with the police dogs, and then just you're always running everything. I mean, sometimes you get 2-3 dogs with you, and 2 of them are off leash, and just whoo, you know, it's just like you have this spell over them. You know what I mean? So it's a really, really cool thing to see. You know what I mean? What are your plans for this year? What do you guys get? Like, what's your 3-5 year plan? Like, what are your goals? What do you want to do?
I mean,
I know who you're working with now. Like you work with a lot of companies now, and you know what I mean. You guys are just expanding.
Yeah, we work with a lot of departments now, on and off Cape. Some of them are even out in Western Mass. I got a couple of departments out there that we do comfort dogs for their departments. But we have a lot more coming up that are just waiting for a dog. We have one that was just a litter that was just born Sunday. So we have a department on the Cape that's going to be getting one of those dogs. And we just got a lot of litters coming up. You know, being a tech for as long as I was, I worked with a lot of reproductive specialists, some even geneticists. So I was able to learn.
Yeah, get into that because you do all your own blood work, chip work.
Yeah, so we do our own progesterone testing that tells us when our females are ovulating. Artificial insemination, we can kind of, you know, do semen collection and look at that as well before I inseminate to make sure everything's, you know, good to go. Even if we get shipped semen too, look at that before you put that in, make sure, because you know,
under a microscope
needs to stay cold. If it's not, and then it's plan B, and you're scrambling around like, oh geez, I got to figure this out quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work. So, but you know, in order to get good results, you have to put forth the work, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the money. I mean, my husband has a good job. It's hit or miss a lot, especially lately. But we were able to start our breeding program and get it to where it is now because we had to put so much money out first.
Yeah. You have more money in dog crates than most people spend on a trip to Disney.
It's insane. Because we have our dog trailer, and our dog trailer is full of ruffling crates.
Yeah.
And then we have ruffling crates in the dog room, and then we have ruffling crates in our cars. So it's like, if we're not taking the trailer, we're taking the cars, and there's 2 crates in each car. And it's a lot of money in health testing, because we health test all the dogs, hips, elbows, eyes, cardiac, full DNA panel. Our puppies go with health guarantees for that reason. So you're not just going to, a random state and picking up a litter of puppies underneath the deck and bringing it back and being like, hey,
which we've all done.
These are going to be comfort dogs for a police department. Yeah. And the puppies are just like nervy as hell. And you're like, yeah, this is going to be around children and the public.
Yeah. No, it's not.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but it happens a lot, and I see it all the time. And it's why people are coming to me and calling me and saying, "Hey, I see what you breed. I see what you produce."
I have been standing next to you at the school resource officer event. I've stood next to you. I can't remember the other place, but I have heard people quite a few times. Just like we'll be in the middle of a conversation and they come over.
That's a Freedom Lab dog.
Yeah, that's a Freedom Lab dog. You know what I mean? Like, hey, when can I? And you're like, and you're mentally like booking out 2 litters that aren't even born yet down the road.
That are already spoken for.
Yeah, which is good. You know what I mean? It
means you're doing something right.
Like I said, I've met with a lot of other companies that do service dogs, and they don't have a program. They don't have as many dogs as you have. They'll only have like 2 or 3, or they're just a completely fake program, just giving out pound puppies. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of those. There's a lot of them that I've seen in this state. You know what I mean? There's actually very few service dog companies that are. I know one other, and he's part of Rebuilding Warriors, and he owns his own company because they reach out to people like you and go, we need someone in this area, right? And they only have like 5 breeders across the country, and he's out by past Springfield.
I actually just had one of the biggest service dog organizations in Massachusetts reach. I think it was more of like a kind of like a not a troll, but like what do you want to call it? Someone who's just kind of like looking for information to see. And we ended up having a phone conversation, and she said, I do a lot of dogs for this organization as far as like they kind of foster them. So like they take them and they kind of handle them and, do stuff like throughout their training process. And then, if they pass or fail, and if they fail, they get to keep that dog. So they contacted me and said, I met one of your service dogs. I've never seen a dog so beautiful, but also that works, and was so well behaved, and the demeanor was just amazing. And she said, I want to speak to this, and potentially maybe work with you in the future as far as getting dogs from you. So it's kind of wild to hear that, because I for so long felt like I was this tiny little, thing. And
shit takes time, man.
The last like year and a half, it just blew up. It got crazy. And we started shipping dogs all over the country for not just pets, but like we have one in Tennessee. He's search and rescue handler. So he got a female out of Rumo in Lumi who just had puppies on Sunday, and she's killing it. I mean, by a year old, she was already finding people.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure they're very diligent too with their training and their, their techniques and, how they do everything. But he contacted me, and he sends me videos every now and then. He's like, this dog's nose is just...
Yeah.
And Rumo, I have him imprinted on narcotics. We have one more to go before we have 4. So far it's heroin, marijuana, cocaine, and then MDMA is the last one. And we have been working together for 2 years now on scent work, maybe a little less than that. So when I have time, it's
Right.
finding time, but eventually I want to do our cert for narcotics as a team. Kind of like what Jay did with his firearm cert. But we will. And it's a resume. So many people will be like, oh, after that, like, are you going to sub him out to a department? I'm like, no, it's a resume. You know, this is what I bred.
Yeah, I'm showing you what I can do.
I trained him myself, and this is what I can provide to other people who want this particular thing. So
I want to get you out to Ohio to meet Athena.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I told you the Center for Forensic Training Education, they do all that stuff. You know what I mean? They do search and rescue. They're in piles of rocks. They're in the water. They're here.
That's awesome.
They do dead bodies when hurricanes, you know what I mean, pass up, because there's not a lot of people that do that.
That's wild.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the hurricanes in North Carolina, she was down there for like 15 days just on TV. Her dog going in the water, like marking. There's one there. There's one there. I think she found like 9 bodies or something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you two would get along. She's very rough. I told you she's hard, but like once she likes you, it's like, okay, you know, but she'll keep you to a standard. She keeps me to a standard with him. You know what I mean? Like
you have to.
She'll just reach out and ask questions, and she'll be having a bad day and be like, you know, when I was training him, I was going through a rough time, and like, how's that dog doing? You know what I mean? I'm going to see a picture of him. I'll send her a picture, and she's having a good time. But she's very, you know, she was also a fireman. So I would definitely love to put you guys in touch. But
yeah,
moving forward, we wanted to get this started today because we're going to do a spotlight on you guys, and we want to film some of what you do in action. Probably a couple times. I'd like to probably do it like at least 2 times. You know what I mean? While you're training people, and then just in your normal everyday bullshit, and kind of show people what you do. Because that's really why I started doing Cert Rep Critical, to reach out to other nonprofits and show people who the real people are that are doing the right thing, that are doing it at a high level, regardless of the nonsense that they run into, and what you've already provided, not to just the community, but like the country. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of people that do what you do. So I want to continue this conversation, but I want to do it while we can see you in action and see a Jay in action, and some of the dogs you've mentioned. Like, I want to see some of those dogs. Like, I want to show people how Rumo is. I want to show people how Lexi is. You know what I mean? And that's on the Dutch working side, plus the veterans service dog working side.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you coming out today and just getting this started, because I want people to start in Massachusetts. There are a lot of veterans that I know. There's quite a few veterans I know that could use a service dog, and it's funny because they're not at the point yet that they'd be ready for it. But I have like 2 people that I know. I'm like, you're like 1 or 2 steps away from when we finish some of the stuff that we're doing, that then maybe you'd be ready, right? And it all goes into job, schedule, life. Like everything doesn't have to necessarily be perfect.
Right.
Because there's another thing, like sometimes when you do put the service dog in some, you know, like you've probably had this as well, where, oh, I'm not ready for the service dog yet, but like they are, but mentally they're not. And then you just put the service dog in there, and then like a short time later, you're like, oh my God, like this is all I need. It's like, I tried to tell you, you know what I mean? But it has to.
And that does happen.
Yeah, it has to. Oh yeah, you just put the dog in there, like, holy shit.
Only because they're thinking, oh my God, it's something else I have to take care of.
Yeah.
Something else I have to think about. But really, it just starts becoming
routine,
a part of your daily life. And it's like a wheelchair.
If the dog's there for you, all you got to do is show up. All you have to do when you're working with a service dog is, even if you're going to fail for that day and you're going to get stressed out or whatever, you just got to show up and things start to change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's all it takes, is putting in the effort to do it, especially because we just started our nonprofit organization, which you're on our board, over Vanner, to be able to raise funds for comfort dogs for departments and schools and veteran service dogs.
Yeah.
Military personnel service dogs. When you're getting a dog that's at no cost to you, 9 times out of 10, these veterans that are getting these dogs that are at no cost to them are so grateful.
Oh yeah.
That they do everything and anything that they can possibly do because other people are funding this for them. This is coming from other people's pockets, whether it's, an organization that donated to me to pay for it, or before I got started with all this, I was doing this for nothing. I still do some for nothing, even if we don't have anything raised.
Yeah.
Because it's a passion of mine, and that's why I started it, because I saw the change that it was making in my husband's life and other veterans that he was close to when I did dogs for them, like Siska. It's personal to me, and I did this for a specific reason.
Yeah.
So
I felt that way when I got the dog, because the dog's, his name is Riley. And I've told some people this. Riley was named after a man named Master Sergeant Michael Riley. Mm-hmm. He died on his 6th tour, in Afghanistan. You know what I mean? So, like, you're getting a dog that's also in memory of somebody else that means something, right? And it reminds you to just enjoy life every day. It's a gift, right? So I'm sitting here and I have a dog in his memory. What am I going to do? I'm going to trash his memory and just screw that up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's so hard to find a real service dog. It's so hard to find a real company. So, if nobody's ever told you, like, I appreciate you. And I know the people that I know that know what you do appreciate what you guys do. And now it's time to start showing them, you know what I mean? So we're going to start showing some videos of what you guys do and do a spotlight on you, and so that people can start, coming to you guys more, whether it's for information, guidance, apply for a dog, want to donate for a dog, help with an event for a dog, you know what I mean?
We actually have a vet now that is good friends with my husband, who he just gave me all his paperwork so we can get him started, but he needs a dog. He's got a lot of disabilities that he needs help with.
Yeah, I got to meet him.
Yeah.
Because I have to just sit down with everybody. Just, hey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's good to get that third person perspective. And I might pick up on something that you don't. You might pick up on something that I don't. And one more thing before we get moving here. For people to know is you support the dog for the life of the dog because of your experience as a vet tech and having all your own stuff, being able to do all of your own health stuff, which is it's very rare. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when he got that UTI and I was freaking out and I was like, is he sick? Is he this? Actually, one time he almost cut off a toe because we had a home edition put on. He was running around in the backyard and they didn't clean up the shards of like aluminum or something. And he comes inside and he's bleeding, and I'm like, one of his toes on his paw pad, it was the outside one, was like half hanging off. I'm like, oh my God. And the first thought was, Athena, his trainer, is going to kill me. And then we took him, he got surgery, he was fine. She was like, dog's going to be a dog. He's running around. He's running around, Sean. You can't, you know what I mean?
This is why we make all our handlers get insurance. It's part of our contract. You have to get
he has insurance.
The insurance.
Yep.
It's because it's a lifesaver when things like that happen.
$4,200. It only cost me, I paid the deductible, was $1,000.
Right.
But it's less than $4,200.
It's so worth it. And you don't have that overwhelming burden of, I got to pay $10,000 for, a double cruciate repair surgery or TPLO, which happens because they're dogs.
I want people to notice something. Like, so Rye just got up, right? And you know why? Because like, I'm already because we're about to end this episode, right? So I'm already like, okay, I'm switching gears. And he's sitting up because he knows, I'm about to end. You know what I mean? But yeah, we're going to continue moving forward with this. And next time some of you guys see us, it will be out in the field doing some stuff with the dogs with Chelsea. And she's going to be teaching us some stuff and showing us what she does. So I want to say thank you very much for Freedom Labs coming today, and we're going to continue working together.
Thanks for having me.
Love y'all. See you guys later.